May I request Mr. Tandon, ED Tram, to kindly do the honors of welcoming our Honorable Chief Guest with a floral bouquet. Thank you very much indeed, sir, for sparing your most valuable time in gracing this occasion. May I request Mr. Tandon to welcome Shri A.K. Mittal, Chairman Railway Board, with a floral bouquet. Thank you, sir, for being here with us today. We welcome Shri Mohammad Jamshed, Member Traffic, with a floral bouquet. Thank you, sir. We welcome Shri R.K. Kulshrestha, General Manager, Northern Railway, with a floral bouquet. Thank you, Mr. Tandon, for doing the honors. May I request Shri Manoj Srivastava, ED TTF, to kindly welcome ED Tram, Mr. Tandon, with a floral bouquet. Thank you very much indeed. And we now have the Honorable Minister with us. I would request him to kindly flag off the demonstration run of RoRo service. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, put your hands together. And with that, we see the demonstration run of RoRo service being flagged off and moving. And I now have the proud privilege in inviting our Honorable Chief Guest, the Honorable Minister for Railways, to address the gathering present here. Please put your hands together to welcome him.
So, good morning, friends. Let me first of all congratulate Member Traffic and all his colleagues, the Freight Directorate, for doing this event and for initiating several important forward-looking ideas which will help railways to regain the lost share of traffic. Normally, there's a powerful thinking that normally a branch of a tree doesn't fall just like that. It's a process which happens over a long period of time, and then it happens and manifests at a particular given point of time. It's a long process which then ultimately culminates into a trigger when it actually happens. The same thing has happened in the freight traffic of railways. If you noticed in early 1950s, late 1940s, the railway had almost the only mode of transportation for traffic, 90% plus. We started sliding down all the time. Every year we are losing the volume. And then, obviously, we can say that we are having some growth. But if you compare with the total volume of freight that is there in the country, the railway was losing share constantly. Then the economic slowdown globally triggered even the more challenging times for railways globally. And I'm happy that Mr. Jamshed showed you the perspective. The largest rail transportation companies in the world, particularly the railways, they also lost substantial share. They had a negative growth rate. And in that context, we have to work out a strategy because 2/3 of the revenue of the railways come from freight. And that too, predominantly from 5 commodities, correct? 8 commodities. And therefore, when we have these challenging times that globally there is a slowdown, and when the global slowdown, it affects the transporter first. Because imports and exports, when imports and exports get affected, it also affects domestic trade and domestic business. And the biggest sufferer is the transporter. So what is the transporter job? It carries raw material to the manufacturing point and uses manufactured products to the market, where there is a consumption, whether it's domestic market or global market. Why China has a negative growth rate for freight and where it has impacted? The economic of Brazil, South Africa, Indonesia got affected because China's slowdown happened. And why they were affected? Because Indonesia, South Africa, Brazil, they are the exporters of natural resources. And China was the consumer of natural resources, turning them around into manufactured products and re-exporting to other countries. When China's economy slowed down, and that is the second largest economy of the world, many countries in the world got affected. And of course, 2008 was the biggest trigger when the financial services was the cause of the problem, but then it engulfed the entire economies of the world. And therefore, China was importing raw materials. Railways were transporting it from port to the manufactured points. When the steel was made, then there was also, from steel was made, the steel would be transported from steel plants to the heavy metal manufacturing within the China. That was again transportation. When it is made, either it will be used in China, so it will go domestic market, or it is exported, it will go to the market. So China got affected. So people must understand the perspective that transporter is essentially transports the products which comes to the market. Transporter cannot create market. Transporter job is to transport something, a commodity, a product which is available in the market. And therefore, when there is a macro level decline, it is bound to affect the transporter. And the transporter is the first one to get worst affected. So the transporter is the first casualty of a slowdown, and the last one to recover from pickup. And therefore, in these challenging times, I am very happy that despite all this, despite this global situation prevailing, the Indian situation prevailing, the core sector growth was not as good as it should have been. We have been able to manage a substantial improvement despite these huge challenges. And that happened, and that we realized too earlier in the day. Way back in 2014, I remember when we were making the first budget, we had set up a task force. That time Jamshed was not a member of the traffic. But we set up a task force under him, bringing in together all our people within the organization. Those who understand traffic, who have been handling operations. And we created, how can we grow traffic to 1.2 billion tons? Right now, I'm just saying something out of memory. And we actually created a capacity to tackle 1.2 billion tons of cargo. And we are ready. But the market didn't pick up. And therefore, we did not get as much cargo as we wanted. But typically, we did not wash our hands off and said nothing can be done. We again pulled our socks back and said we'll try to do something. So we started changing policies. One is the volume, but in the entire freight market. But to gain share of that freight market and to regain it from where we are lost to roads and in some cases even to air, smaller portion, we decided to come out with policy enabler. And this is not the first time we are launching it. In the last 2 years, continuously we have been changing our freight policies. And what was the situation before? Every year we are increasing freight traffic. So just imagine, the freight was constantly increased. That was a key element of railway budget. We don't have to even read the railway budget. We have to read it only to know which commodities price have increased and how much. But increase was always there. So we changed that perspective and we said we'll try to make it based on what the market can afford to pay. And how can we be competitive in that? And to do that, constantly we have been endeavoring and constantly participating with our stakeholders to understand what they wanted. I remember last year, just around this time after the budget was presented, we had a meeting on how to change, how to go beyond coal, life beyond coal. I think the world has to also think about life beyond coal anyway for the energy issues. Because coal is a major emitter of greenhouse gases, and therefore we have to think about that. But for the railways, 2/3 of the revenue comes from freight, and half of that comes from coal. So thinking about going beyond coal is something which was very important. and how to diversify the commodity basket was also critical, and therefore we started working on that. I'm very happy that we met each and every segment of the market, whether it is steel, whether it is cement, whether it is iron ore, whether it is coal, and all others. And we chalked out a policy for them, and we have been working on that. And this is something which is an ongoing exercise, and I'm sure we'll try to do even more. Not necessarily reduce, we can increase also if there is a market. So therefore, we are constantly working with the stakeholders, with our partners, and try to work out with the freight policies. If one really looks at our holistic way of what has been done in the freight sector, I would call it a landmark reform in the freight segment in the course of last 2 years. The benefit we are feeling in the last 3 months, but you will feel the real benefits of this over the next several years. Because not only we reverse the trend of increasing, but now we are making it market oriented, we are working with the stakeholders, and now we are working with it. In fact, I was telling one day in the lighter vein that member traffic was a person, he was never to be seen because people would chase him, but he is not available. Because we will go to him and tell him, please give me this wagon, that wagon, wagons are not available, please give me rakes. And he said, how can I give it to everybody? So he was not available. Now our member traffic now, he is after people in the marketplace, finding out from where we can get a cargo, and therefore from invisibility to visibility in terms of market presence. And we want to make sure that we'll take this to a level wherein stakeholders will be the ones with whom we'll work. And this always has to be the place. This is nothing great. Customer has to be the focus of our freight policy. It cannot be we can decide the freight policy and if you want you come. It is like I will start a restaurant and say, I am going to sell masala dosa for 5,000 rupees. You want to come? Please come and eat. Obviously what will happen to the store, you know. How many masala dosas he will sell also you will know. So that's the reason why we should think about policies based on market realities. And that is what we are trying to do, despite the fact that we continue to be a monopoly. We continue to be owned by the government. But we have made it completely market-oriented approach towards the freight policy. And that is showing results. In fact, again, Jamshed must be facing this problem, which I am also facing. Every minister is calling me, please give me rakes. I am not getting every chief minister calling. Because suddenly the demand has happened because of our policies. And that must be, therefore I was complimenting my colleagues. And as I said, we'll try to do even more. And this is something in line with what we announced in the budget. This is not something we are just arose and we have woken up now. And that's why I'm happy that you are showing a relationship between today's policy and what was announced in the budget even 2 years ago, last year and now. So this is the first very important initiative. I don't want to repeat again what has been said about the initiatives. And today we are going to have this round table so that we want to discuss with our stakeholders. And this is not the only time, we'll keep doing it all the time. Keep discussing, keep finding out. But I must tell you also now, for all my colleagues in the industry, that you must also respond. It cannot be a one-way traffic that we keep doing policies and then whatever commitment you make, you must fulfill those commitments and give back that cargo to us. And therefore, it is in the interest of both. Railways baseline we are protecting by saying incremental cargo will attract certain discount. So we are protecting a baseline. You are also benefiting because whatever incremental cargo you bring in, you benefit. But this is based on a commitment made by you, and you must honor those commitments. And as we go along, we'll see you benefit, we benefit, country also benefits. Because if the freight rate goes down, it benefits the common man the most. The freight is also one of the components of the end pricing of any product. Even food products will not imagine this policy that we are doing today will impact food prices. Because ultimately all this what we do goes into something which eventually is consumed by the end consumer. So maybe we are saying, how is it concerned? Please explain to me, because there are experts in India will tell you. A steel is required to make food processing. Food processing industry depends upon what price they buy, so the capital cost depends on that. So many, each one of them will depend upon a larger picture of ensuring that end prices that consumer pay also will get positively impacted, which will again impact inflation. Inflation goes down, the interest rates will go down. Interest rate goes down, the fiscal deficit will go down, because then to that extent we can borrow at a lower price, so the interest cost will go down. The railways will also benefit because we are also borrowing, our interest cost will go down. And more still is consumed by people because of lower prices. We benefit again because we get more volumes. So it's a two-way effect. Also, the member engineering will be happy because he's buying steel at a price which will be lower. So just imagine, it's a win-win-win for everybody. We are getting into a vicious cycle of increase, so everything goes up, everything goes, and then demand goes down, and eventually everybody loses. From vicious cycle to virtuous one, by which this will lead to a very positive cascading effect on the economy as a whole. So I think this is extremely important, and I hope people will understand a larger picture of this. While railways will benefit, economy will benefit, consumer will benefit, and ecosystem as a whole will benefit. So I really, again, congratulate you. That's for the first freight policy initiative. Secondly, we have prepared a business plan for 17-18, which was unveiled. As you know, normally nobody wants to stick the neck out, particularly the government. We always want to play safe. We are going exactly the opposite. We are taking higher targets. We are trying to say that we like to do this, and we are trying to do it. Whatever initiatives we have taken in the first budget, 136 of them were implemented. Action taken report was presented to the parliament. Even this last year, almost everything is at various stages of implementation. But 17-18, nobody asked us to prepare a plan. But we decided on our own that we'll prepare a plan and present it to the people so that we take a commitment, sticking a neck out that we like to do this. And this is another paradigm shift in the thinking of a government, that we want to take commitment. This is what a Prime Minister also believes in. He always says that economy will grow faster, we are doing. So this is coming from a broader picture of a Prime Minister thinking that India must be a developed economy. How can we become developed? If we keep thinking about, I don't want to take risk. Because if I take commitment, I have to fulfill. I know in the parliament, so many times some bureaucrat will think that ministers should not make a commitment to the parliament, because that becomes of assurance to be fulfilled. So I learnt it too early that this is my 9th cabinet responsibility. Because when I was presenting my first as a minister, they told me, don't say it becomes assurance. I said, how it becomes assurance? They said, if you give assurance, it has to be fulfilled. Then I said, okay. So now I make 10 assurances in every question hour. Why not? You have to fulfill the assurance. What is the purpose? Shy away from assurance or give more assurances? So telling me, so now we have even changed the way we answer the questions. We have to answer, we have to give this. So this is the new thinking that we are trying to bring in and making sure that we'll honor it. And therefore this is a second plan. The next is long-term contract, which is again part of a freight policy, which ensures a stability to the railways. When we know, because if you know that now he has taken, one container has gone, one rake has gone, but we don't know whether he's going to come back again. So how can a railway plan his operations? Any transporter needs to plan his freight strategies based on certain basic presumptions. So if you don't have anything, then whether we should handle coal or we should handle to this. Recently we had a challenge, the bumper crop of onions. Bumper crop of onions had created a big problem for farmers because it's a perishable commodity. If it is don't go to reach the market, farmers lose everything, and farmers are losing, unfortunately, on the particularly the onion farmers. We immediately rushed to Nasik, and now we are also rushing to Gujarat and other places. So, but just imagine, this is not easy to move from one place to another. So therefore we need long-term contracts. We understand the challenge which is coming from onion growth. That will do anyway. But major customers, major commodities, we need long-term contracts. And that was also announced in the budget speech. So therefore this is not something which is coming out of thinking. Also the new delivery model which was mentioned in the budget speech, it's an excellent idea of double stack dwarf containers. Just imagine, the cost goes down, Even the energy cost goes down. The operating cost goes down because same number of people will operate it. The congestion on tracks also go down because we don't have to send another train. Otherwise, one more train had to go. Now, that means already congested track, one more train would be going. Now, that we can avoid. And that too, in a shortest possible time, even for a customer, we can give him better price because now we can pass on the benefit to him also. So just imagine, it's also great win-win situation. Then again, needs a compliment, and I have to compliment Mr. Jamshed and his team for doing this. And the last one is the RoRo service. This again, I think, is a boon to Delhi's pollution. This is also a boon to many others, but just imagine the ambient air quality of Delhi is suffering the most, and the main root cause of ambient air quality deteriorating in Delhi is coming out of transportation. And this is something which I have studied even in 1998 when I was the Minister of Environment. And since then, we have been saying that to improve the ambient air quality of Delhi, we must change the transportation policies. It is a great initiative. I think this is much better than any other initiative that could have been taken. And therefore, I really, again, also compliment the citizens of Delhi because they are going to breathe now cleaner air. It is going to be very good for all of them. And therefore, this is another interesting initiative. Recently, we also experimented with this in Thane, which again has a big problem in Mumbai, where there is a large number of trucks waiting, and because of that, all other sectors get affected. Transportation, everybody, public health. And one of the main reasons of public health deteriorating is also the emissions that come from the trucks. So this is another very interesting initiative. We are already working on it in Konkan Railway, and that has been very successful. This will give us extra revenue also. This will also give us benefit to everybody. So each one of these initiatives is going to benefit the railways. Obviously, why would do something which doesn't benefit us? But it is also going to benefit the co-benefits. So it's a co-beneficiary of all these initiatives are people at large, country as a whole, economy in a holistic manner. So this is something which is an extremely important initiative taken in this holistic manner. Many times we do one thing that affects somebody else. So somebody will say that, we are smoking. So I just say, no, I will just smoke, but I smoke, but air that remains in the room, it affects the passive smoker more. So you can always think about how to benefit everybody else. And that is what is the policy that we all initiated today. And I'm saying we'll do many more. Today there is a roundtable also followed by this discussion. So again, I welcome all our partners and we'll work together in each of these. So thank you very much and looking forward to active participation of all of you. In fact, we have prepared a plan today for the traffic department, which is given to you. And it includes just one more important aspect of this. This plan has 3 components. We had only 2 components, normally for the revenue, freight and fare. We have created a non-fare revenue directorate, which has started working, and that plan is also ready, and we are already implementing that plan. So first time, we'll have a plan in which non-fare revenue will also contribute significantly to the railways revenue. And as we'll see, as we go along, this will add significantly to the revenue share of the railways over the next 5-7 years significantly. So whatever we are doing today, we are laying foundation for a better railway of tomorrow. So not only for today, but better. This is something which is really speaking a structural change, structural reform that we are taking place. Secondly, Mr. Kapoor retired, but his colleagues will be here from member tracks. We are already working on reduction of expenditure by as much as 41,000 crores on energy alone. And where this comes from? This figure has been just taken out. This is detailed about how we are going to save, and this, each one of them, is going to come in the form of 4,000 crores we already saved, so this is in line with that. Just imagine, in the next 10 years, this is what we will save. Next 10 years, this is what will be the non-fare revenue. This is the next 10 years, you can imagine the freight increase, that volume will take place. In addition to all this, why it's going to happen, and that's a plan we'll release soon about engineering, for example. All the work that we have started for doubling, all the work that we have started for traffic facilities, All the work that we have started for station development, all of that will also yield results in the course of next 3-4 years. When the capacity expansion would happen, when the dedicated freight corridor would have been ready, hopefully by end of December, that time the policies also would have started yielding better results. The capacity augmentation would have been far more. The economy also would be expanding. Just you can imagine what will be the situation of railways. Along with this, we are doing the human resource management in a proper manner. I don't know to tell you because that's another large initiative that we have taken on human resources. So each one of them will yield results. Only one more point before I close. Actually, we should have another public event for this. Yesterday, we had handed over the Habibganj station in Bhopal for even maintenance to a private operator. This is a great achievement. What we have done is now we have said the station redevelopment will happen. So we are working on station redevelopment for some time. The first station, of course, there are many more, but this one, even the operator has taken over for maintenance of the station. So this is the beginning of a station redevelopment process. There are only 23 stations which have been, 23? We have given to our bidding. Another 40, 50 will try to do it in the next few months. And also something else which I don't want to announce today. Very interestingly, another arm of the government has met me yesterday and we are trying to work out another study so that station redevelopment also will assume a different kind of clarity. So what I'm trying to say is each activity that we decided to initiate is going at full steam and at a greater speed, including joint venture with the states. Everybody was skeptical. They said not even single state will come forward. Now there is a member engineering will tell you, there is a competition among states. And states like Kerala were the first one to jump into the bandwagon. They say we want to join. They already formed a company, not a joint venture, MOU or something. The companies have been formed and we launch that soon. And that again will bring in a huge amount of capacity to the country with a different stream of revenues, different stream of financing, and also increasing the bandwidth of implementation. So we have already included the joint, our PSUs like IRCON, like RVNL, like Konkan Railway into implementation of projects. So we are going to give them work so that they will implement it. I think the work orders will be issued. For some already issued, some will be issuing soon. And that again will bring in more capacity to the railways for creating the infrastructure. So all of this is a part of a holistic plan. Today we are rolled out for few. We'll do that in the next few days about other sectors also. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, sir. And may I now request Sri Jamshed, Member Traffic, to kindly do the honors of presenting a small token of gratitude to the Honorable Minister.